Today, we're going to be talking about the intended audience for this course. B2B SaaS or service companies. So why is the intended audience B2B or SaaS or service companies? Well, it's because I spent the majority of my career working in B2B, and I understand that. Most things we're going to be talking about are going to be about scaling accounts. It's literally an account-based scaling course. These techniques are not going to be relevant for almost all of B2C. So we're talking about high ticket size, right? So that's like minimum account size of $30,000 a year. The higher, the better. You want your recurring revenue to justify investment into that organization. And that's just isn't going to happen in the case if you're talking about $1,000 to $5,000 accounts. It's going to be really hard to take the labor and invest it into the organizations that can only afford to pay you that much. Importantly, it's a business decision there in terms of the dollar amount. You need to set minimums, you need to set thresholds, you should implement, or you should consider implementing stripped down or tiered down versions. And we'll go through that process, the actual process, the build out and everything else, so you can figure out what makes sense for you. But as an example, for one of my clients, we did something like this where we said, hey, here's a new account. If the account's worth more than $30,000 a year, they can go into the process. If they have the potential to be worth over $100,000, but less than $300,000, maybe we give them a slightly stripped down version. Or if they're above $300,000 a year, they definitely get the whole version. But then we go back and say, if the account's less than $30,000, do they have the potential to scale? And if yes, maybe we bump them up a tier. And we give them a little bit more service to try to help them along the process to get them to that next level of investment. But if we look at the account and we say, look, there's 10 people in the company, we have 8 seats already. Even if we get all 10 and we can expand 100% penetration with them, they're just not going to be that big. Maybe we just put them on a super stripped down version, or we don't follow this process for them because the company isn't the kind of company we want to invest in. So that's the kind of thing that we need to consider when we're talking about account size. So why bootstrapped companies? Why is this course for them? Well, really simply, the reason I care about bootstrapped companies is I've worked with them, and that bootstrap founders, instead of VC funded or PE acquired companies, is because VC companies and PE acquired companies, they come in with their own sets of processes that they have or they have access to. These kinds of things are the cheats that help scale these companies. I've seen it. After we've scaled, that even we had good processes, the PE company came in and added a bunch more. And the thing is, they did that because as you grow, you're going to need more and more and more to continue to scale and get better. And that's one of the things that they bring in when they join those companies. So what I'm trying to do is arm you with the kinds of things that you would not have access to on your own. So this program is really for people in the 1 to 10 million in revenue range. And that's because it's primarily if you don't have $1 million, you can't afford it, and you can't afford to scale or put the investment into those companies or follow the effort. But if you have more than 10 million in revenue, you've probably started building processes on your own, because it's very hard to scale a service or SaaS company to that size without doing it formally or informally. And then critically, you have to have high margin. If you're operating at super low margins, or if you're at a grocery store level margin with 1 to 3%, you're not going to have the money to invest into them. You'd rather be at an Apple kind of margin or a luxury brand kind of margin. And when you do that, you have the margin to invest in things like marketing or packaging, which in our case, that's not really what we're worried about. What we want to do is have the money to invest in labor and services so we can invest into those accounts, knowing that we want to grow those accounts to a higher level. And so that's why we care about margin. Does that mean you have to have a super crazy high margin today? No. But it does mean that you have to have the capacity to do that so that you can follow the processes and you can increase your margin or keep your margin, increase your revenue base. And so, yeah, that's who this audience is for. And that's who the audience is for. And that's what we're going to cover in week 1, the intentions section. And we're going to start diving into the rest of the content next week. Thank you and have a good day.